Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Alex, and I'm calling and reporting from COVID-19 Central in Nebraska, since our governor decided he wasn't going to close things up and then open stuff up. We're staying safe. Got my mask here. Talking to y'all also. Obviously, I can't make y'all sick through there unless the COVID is mutated somehow, so you can catch it via the internet. That'd be scary. What we're going to do today is we're going to see if we can't solve for the issue that we had the last time with the special byte for punctuation in our solution. So what we're going to do is we're going to sync up from that branch that we have. So I'm going to pull from that branch because I've checked in work since then and I'm in a different location. It says it's already up to date. That seems kind of odd. Let's just double check. Let's go to our GitHub account. And we'll go into, oh my goodness, that's an ugly guy. Let's go into our COVID API client. It was updated a week ago. And let's just double check to make sure. Oh, we're on the wrong branch here. We need to go to the iteration 1 branch. Yeah. So I think what we were trying to do the last time was we had up an example of our special ASCII character. Okay, so let me pull up this ASCII table code. So an ASCII character is so computers can only understand numbers, right? So every word, every letter, every space, comma, everything else is in what's called an ASCII code. And so the ASCII codes are just numerical representations of what people see on the screen. So what happens is if a person writes words, right? If I spell my name, the computer sees, if you go down this ASCII character here, what the computer sees is something different. The computer would see these ASCII characters. So for example, my name in ASCII code or decimals would be 65, 76, 69, 88. That's my first name. Well, in here, there are also extended ASCII characters for punctuation and other things, right? And so you have in here, I think it was byte number 250, 225 maybe? Let's see, it's in here somewhere. And it's just the punctuation. Oh, here it is. This is the one we were coming into last week. This is the punctuation that we were seeing on our reunion with the punctuation mark over it for French punctuation or whatever. You see another one in 161. You see others here. Okay, and those are punctuation. And what that does is it allows the computer to display information to all different sorts of regions, okay? So if I write code over in the United States and I want that code to be able to be talked about over in Germany, I can control what the person sees based off of the code that I write. So if I want to punctuate this double, I don't know what you would call it, double character E, I'd make sure that this is a byte 137 instead of an E, which would be a 101 for lowercase e for the ASCII code. Okay, so let's go back to our code and we're going to look at our code And we'll open up our solution here. Go home, changes. Nope, I don't have any changes there. Go back to the solution, open the solution. So what we basically need to do is we need to transform that character and change that byte from a 130, and we need to change that byte into a 101. And I don't know how I'm going to do that quite yet. So this is going to be kind of a different video. You're going to be able to see my thought process as I go through this. So right now I'm back in the solution, and if I hit F5, and if I go here and I right click on here, I'm in Visual Studio. I right click, I left click over here first and create a breakpoint. I right click on the breakpoint and click condition. And then I say, I want to, no, let's not do that there. Let's do it up here. So I'll play conditions here. And then what I'll do is I'll say, no, not in there. Uh-oh. What we're trying to do is we're trying to make a breakpoint that stops on our code. So I'm going to right click here, conditions, and then I'll say cline dot country code equals double quote. I think it was RE was the code. Hit enter. Now if I F5 and I run through my solution, then what's going to happen is, what's going to happen is, hopefully it'll stop on that line of code when it hits that condition. If I'm getting a response back from the API, it's thinking about it, 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 and we're still running here. Uh-oh. It said, oh, I messed that up. So I need to change that condition here to the double quotes, double equal signs here, and redo it here. There we go. So now I am on the one that I need. So if I hover over this country code, there's my RE. If I hover over the slug, this is what we're looking to get rid of, this byte right here. So I can do this one or two ways. If I hit F11 and I go into this data, what I can do instead of doing this, I'm going to change this code up a little bit. I'm going to start using the, I'm going to have to parse out all of the strings. And then what I'll do is, instead of doing it this way, what I'll do is I'll look for the ASCII byte instead for commas, which is right there. So byte, so hexa or byte 44 or byte 130. So if it's a byte 44, and if it's not a byte 44 and it's not a byte 130, I'll just return the string as it is. So let's see here. If it does have one of those, then what I'll do is I'll remove it and then I will replace it with something. So I'm going to change my condition up here. So I'll have to look for the byte there that's in that character. C dot to, let's see, how do I want to do this? If C C equals 133 and 30. 130. Then what I want to do is I want to replace that string, C. Let's see, ret string plus equals, and I want to replace this 130 with a 101. 101, like that. Else, if C equals, and I'll do a commas, which is, make sure that's not a quotation mark there, comma. That's backwards tick there, comma. Comma is 44, I believe. Then ret string plus equals, I want a space, which would be 32. And let's see, else, ret string plus equals C. So what this is going to do, hopefully, is as it reads through this data and it parses through each line of the data, it's going to say, if I encounter that special character, I'm going to replace it with a lowercase e. If I encounter a comma, I'm going to replace it with a space. Otherwise, I'm just going to put whatever's in there in there. So let's see if this actually works this time. And actually, let's stop this and see if we can't get it to debug on one of those lines there. So if it debugs on one of those lines there, then we're good to go. So I'll hit F5. Okay, so here we have C. And if I go to C, I've got a comma in there. And then I'm going to get rid of this. I don't know if that did what it was supposed to do there. String data. No, that's not what we want to do. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. Okay, so let's do this. And we're going to convert the char convert, no, char dot let's get rid of that. And let's Google how to do that. So we can do it that way, like this. Let's just put a int what do we want to call this? Char to E equals 101. Int char to space equals 32. And then we can cast this, char, char to E, like that. And then we can do the same thing here. We can say char to space, and let's try running that. And what that does is it should cast this integer from an integer to a space. Yep, there we go. All right, so that's what it's doing there. So let's debug to our let's go back here, conditions, and let's debug to our C-line slug, country code equals RE. And we'll hit F5. And here we are. We're on our condition. Here's our slug with the special character in there. We'll hit F10 or F11 to go in there. So now it's going to read through all of the lines. And as we look down here, here's what we pass into this function right there. And here's what we're going to pass back from the function right here. So if we watch here, we hit F10 a few times, R. Okay, now it didn't do it. It didn't do it. So let's see what character that is right there. 233 is the character, so I have that wrong. Oh, let's stop that. And let's go to our ASCII table. And it says it's 233. Not sure. Okay, so we'll do 233 then. 233. Okay, and we'll hit F5. And then what we'll do is we will parse back through our condition again. F11, F10, F10, F10. We skip the first one because it's just a big R. We'll get to that one. There we go. N-I-O-N. So now we've transformed this into this. And that is what will be put into our spreadsheet. So now if we go back to our spreadsheets, we'll open this up. We'll go to our data folder. Here's all our stuff, and that's the last run there. Delete these. We'll edit these. We'll open them up in Excel, I mean. And if we open this up, let's see what we got here. Let's see if we got any special characters in here. Go down to, oh, I just saw one here. We have another one we need to look at here. We have another one we need to look at there. So we're just trying to get rid of these special characters out of our stuff here. So let's go down to the R's here. PQ R. There's reunion. So we did it there, but we need to do it over there too. So let's see here. So the slug needs to change. So let's go back. And we'll do the same here. With the slug as well. And then what we'll do is rerun this again. And this is just a way to clean up data, parse through it, clean it up, you know. So let's close this one here. We'll reopen this in next one here. Go down to the R, R. There we go. We've got our properly formatted slug here, or for United States purposes, I should say. So let's go back through and let's look for any other special characters. So here's another one here. So CI. So in our condition here, we'll put condition, close U, condition. We'll put C line, country code, equals, double equals, and it should be CI right there, CI. We'll hit F5, and we'll see what character is coming over in that particular field. So it is the second character. So it's going to be a C. And then the second character, the byte is 244. That's an O. So let's go back to our ASCII table. You see a 244 right there. And you notice it does not look like what we're seeing over here. And that's because however they rendered this particular page is going to render differently. So we'll throw a 244 in there as well. And that's going to be int char 2O equals 244. Else if C equals 244, and do something similar. Char 2O. We'll hit F5, we'll retest it. Close that one. You notice that it's just really flying through. Uh-oh, what we got? Oh, that's because we're still debugging. So F11, F10, F10. So we have our C, our O right there. And it didn't do it like we thought it was going to. Let's restart. C is that one. Char C equals 244. Oh, duh. Alex. Y'all see my mistake there? Why would I make it from 244 to 244? Oh my goodness. Okay, I need to make that a lowercase o. That's going to be a 111 on my ASCII table. So this needs to be 111. Goodness. F5. And then I'll F11 that again. Now this only gets me through the countries that have been reported. Oh, there we go. Let me hit F5, and now we see that I've transformed this string into this string here. Now if I hit F5, hit F5 again, get rid of the breakpoint. That's going to continue. It's going to kill the rest of it. And now my latest one should have that one changed as well. See, there it is right there. All right. Let's see if we can find any other ones. I thought there was one more at least. So let's see if we can find another one here. We might have gotten rid of it already. I don't see any. We must have gotten rid of all of them. So we're good. So again, what would happen is a person would use this data, and they, after they've converted it, and they put into a, I don't know, a hash table or a pivot table, I mean, or something else, and they'd be able to report on it. So hopefully, and this pretty much completes our code here. Now there's definitely an easier way to do this. There's a better way to do this. We could create a separate class that would look at all of the ASCIIs, and it would translate them or whatever needs to happen. I'm not going to do all that. It's a little bit overkill for this little simple project here. So we've got all of our data converted. We've got all our data changed over, and we've got a report here. And so I could take this report and do a save as on it and change it from a CSV to an Excel spreadsheet. And then I could take this data and I could insert a chart. And then I could do something like this. And let's just put a real simple chart in there. I don't know if it did or not. Let's see, all charts. Line. Let's do it this way. Say okay. It's not throwing a chart in there. Oh, you know what? That's because I'm using all of the data. I need to do this. Boom. Now let's throw a chart in there. There we go. So let's make a bar graph here. And so we can make it a 3D bar graph or something, or we don't want to have something that's too cluttered there. Something like that. Maybe not. A scatter might do better. Something like that. Now we've got a chart right there. And if we wanted to put all the countries on, there's so many countries on there, but this is how they would do it. Right there. This is the date. Now that's one way you could do it. Let me delete that chart. Let me do another chart. And actually, you can do a pivot table. Do it this way. And then let's say I want the country. I want the confirmed, all the numeric data, the date. And let's say I want all of the sums of the new confirmed, sums of death, blah, blah, blah. And let's say I've got the countries. And so now what I can do is I've got a pivot table with all this information in there, complete with dates in there. And I can actually mess around with this pivot table. And instead of just displaying the last date in there, I can say field settings, rows. Let's see, values. I'm not the best pivot table guy here, so let's have move this date up into the filter here, like that. And this is just today's date. So maybe I should get rid of the date, and I'll get sum of total deaths. And let's say I want to filter by the number of deaths. So obviously, all right, I'll see y'all. We'll be up in here. And then what'll happen is Italy is up there. Let's say I've got this here, United Kingdom. I've got Spain. And I think this data is out of date here as well. Because if I look back at that data and I go to the United States, we have over 60,000 here confirmed deaths. Yeah. Yeah, so this data is out of whack here. But again, it's just one way to discover how to look at the data, mess around with the data, and go from there. You know, this is how to build a client to consume an API, parse out the data from that API, and to put it into a format where you can look at it and you can tell it's not right. The data's not right. So what we could do, and that's the whole point. This is how people look at data and they discover if and they make decisions. They base their decisions off of this, you know, doing what you've seen we do. We have people like myself that will build a report. We'll look at the report and we'll parse it out. We'll say, okay, that doesn't look right, because I know there's a whole lot more than just 11,367 people. There should be some people in this column right here for the United States of America. So this data is out of date. So what I would do is I would come back and say, look, after analyzing this data and building this solution for you, this data is out of date. This is not a reputable data source. That's what I would do. Now, I'm not saying that they are not a reputable data source. They may have a paid data source that you get all this updated data, because I'm using the free data source. So again, this is what you can do. I've consumed a web service, and let's say I was going to send this report over to somebody. I type this up, send it over to them, and boom, there you go. I've even got a table here where I can grab all of the people, all of the states or all of these countries who are not reporting any deaths. So again, there's just one way to do it. My way is not the end all be all. But again, the steps are usually going to be the same. You select your web service, build a client, consume the web service, parse out the data, and there you go. So that kind of concludes what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and sync up my changes here to the service, to GitHub. No, I gotta commit my changes first. Completed client. Say commit all. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to properties. I'm going to go into my make sure I've got all of this here. The package version is going to be package 1.0, because this is now going to go from debug to release version. So it's going to be package 1.0, and then it's going to be API Inc. Nah. I'll just put my GitHub on there. And then in the description, I'll put test client for COVID COVID-19 API data learning experience only. Not copywriting it, obviously. So we've got that, got all that. The assembly version is going to be 0. This one here. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Change this to release. Save it again. And I'm going to rebuild it. And actually, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to test this one last time by grabbing the actual release version of this code. So let me go over here, right click and say open file location. I'll delete all my reports that I just made. Go up a level, delete this COVID-19 folder. Go into my repository. Oh, obviously that doesn't exist anymore. Go into my documents, no, C, users, me, source, repos, there, oh, go back, there it is, go into my client folder, bin, release, here's the app, right here, I'll copy that, we put this on the desktop, paste it in there, and let's see what happens when I try to run this. I run this as administrator, yep. So let's see if it actually created a folder. Nope. But I can go into application log. And I can look to see what happened in there. Let's see. Windows application. I should have an error in here. It's probably because the dependencies aren't there to run. Yep. That does not, application execute does not exist. Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to DLL. So let's grab everything in this folder, copy this folder over to my desktop, paste it over there. Now let's try to run this and see what we get. Well, that's more promising. And let's go to the C drive. There's a folder, and there's a report, and there's data. There we go. And so it's looking for what happened when it didn't run was it was looking for this DLL. Go back. It was looking for this dynamic link library to run because it's a dependency. And so when the applications tried to run, it looked for this file right here and it couldn't find it. It said, oh no, it's not there. I can't run. So now if I refresh this log here, if I was logging stuff in there, then I would see a successful log or something like that. So anyway, that is our application, and it actually runs. And actually, I think there's a way in the project here where we can hide the when we publish this, because that's just how I ran it to make sure it runs. So I'm going to publish this to a folder, browse. Let's say I'm going to make a new folder on my desktop here. New folder, and I'll call it look COVID search, COVID client. And say, okay. And say, create a profile, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say publish. If I go to my desktop, here's my COVID client. There's all those files that we had there. And I can run this, and it would create a file for me. So let's test that out one more time here. So I'll create, add up another, open up another window here. Oh, not that. I'll pull this window over to the right. Share this window to the left. We'll double click this and watch it create a file over here. Bam. And this is an updated file. So there we go. So our stuff is complete. Now what I'm ready to do is I'm ready to sync up these changes because I've got a completed project or a completed solution. And I'll push these up. And when I go to my branches, here's my branch, and I can create a pull request. So let's say somebody else was my supervisor and they were watching this or something, or up here. I would create a pull request. And let me get rid of the space there. And I'm going to say all of the stuff that I did here on this. So what I can do is go back, actually go home, and look at the history of this particular project. Right click on it on the solution. Nope. Close that, close that. Go to branches, right click here and say view history. Everything that I've done in there, I can put in there. Since this is going to be merged up to my master branch now, I'm going to write a history of what I've done. So I can say created, well, since it's the first time I've done this, well, I can say created a new data model class, established API connectivity, parsed out JSON response, and placed and created CSV report. There we go. I'll say create pull request. These are all the things I've done. Let's say I was going to review it. I go through a code review on it. I'm going to merge it. I'll delete this branch because it's no longer needed. I can come over here, go to the master branch. Uh-oh, wait a minute now. Changes. What did I do? Compare. What did I change? Oh, my company information. So commit all, sync. I'll push up. Let's see if it'll throw me an error. It might not let me do that because there's no more branches over there with that one. Or it might just actually create a new branch over there for me. Refresh. Go to commit. Let's see. Go back to the code. There's the new branch there. And let me just just added the company info. I'll just merge that up because I know what that is. So go over here, over here. That's the only file that was changed. So do a quick pull request for this. I'll just create a pull request. Create pull request. Yep, merge it, merge it. There we go. And now if I go to my main code, let me go back because now I can delete that. Let me go to that one. It should allow me to just delete that branch. This one here. There. And yeah, I should be able to just delete this. I can delete this pull request, I mean this merge. So anyway, or this branch. Anyway, what I'll do now is I'll come back over here and go back up to my master branch. Changes. And I will pull down changes from my, I'll sync up my repository, pull. And now all of my code now matches what's out there on the main repository. And I can delete that other pull request. And actually, I think I can do that from over here. I'm going to delete it from over here and say delete. I get a warning probably. Nope. And delete that over here too. Delete branch from remote. Yep. It should disappear here in a minute. Oh, there we go. So now I have no branches out there except for my master branch. And if I come back over here to my code, I hit drop down, there's no more branches over there except for my master branch. And I am able to publish this code. So it's completed. So that is our entire solution from start to finish. Hopefully you've learned something. If you have questions, let me know. Chat me up in the Slack repo, in the Slack community. Make comments. You can feel free to check this code out if you want to. Play around with it. Use it for other APIs. Have at it. So hopefully I've taught you something new, and God bless you.